Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial. Now this one is going to be much longer than the previous Witcher ones because this is going to be going into my editing software, Vegas Pro, and it's going to be going into animation. Now this normally isn't an animation software, but here's 4 kinds of animation or animation and manipulation that I'm going to show you here today. I'll try to. There's image manipulation, 3D image manipulation, effect animation, and masking animation. Now first, with my handy dandy list here, I'm going to show you image manipulation. It's very simple. We're going to grab a picture of little Uganda Knuckles here. And this is very simple. You go up here. Now if you don't see this symbol, that means you're zoomed too far out. You have to zoom in, and then you'll see it, the cropping tool. Now what we need here is down here at the very bottom. This is our keyframes. And this lets us animate the guy. Now, if you notice, when I click around on the project, this here does not move. If you would want it to move, you would click this right here, and now it will move with us. But for most cases, I like to keep it off. Now let's do something very simple. We're going to have him start smaller. This will change if you're allowed to move it in every direction. Just left and right or up and down. We're going to keep left and right. Going to keep it very simple for you guys. Now, if you see him clipping through, there's something you can do here. You can go to maintain aspect ratio and keep that as no. He'll be stretched out, but he'll fit across the entire screen. I usually just zoom out to compensate for that. We're just going to have him move from the left, go to the last keyframe here, all the way at the very end, and move him to the right. And there we go. One thing I like to do to finish off my keyframes is click and drag over every keyframe, right click, and smooth it out. Let's have a look.
I'm very good at this.
You're still learning.
See?
Don't worry
Moves from left to
about the
right.
rabble.
Now, if you wanted to, here, let's delete this. If you wanted to, let's say, replace a character's head in the game with Uganda Knuckles here. But let's replace Corvo's head here with Uganda Knuckles. I've already made a clip of Corvo walking, nice and simple. Now we need to mask out his head with some masking tool. Enable the masking tool. I'm going to fast forward this bit for you guys. Take the anchor creation tool, and we're just going to anchor out his head. There we go. Now we have a nice mask of little Uganda Knuckles' head. We can move that around as much as we like. We're going to zoom out and make it match Corvo's. Now, how it's stretched out, so let's move it back to yes. There we go. Okay, now we have little Uganda Knuckles' head cut out. Now we just have to move it with Corvo's. Now I think it'll look better if we flip it. There we go. Now for this, I like to keep it synced up with the project. And I like to keep my window above this bar here so I have access to these buttons, previous frame and next frame. Now all you have to do is spam next frame until Corvo's head moves a little bit, and move Uganda head with it, sync it up. Very tedious, but very simple. This is also I guess the simplest form of animation you could achieve with Sony Vegas. Just about finished up here. There we go. Now, as I said before, I like to click and drag over the entirety of the keyframes. Just right click any of them and smooth them out. Now, depending on the animation and what you're doing, you can change it to like maybe fast or sharp or even slow. But let's have a look at what we got here.
Every year, I think the anniversary of Jessamine's death will be easier, but it never is.
Now, you can evolve this further with 3D image manipulation, which is next on the list. All you have to do is go here, track motion, and change the source alpha to 3D source alpha. Now keep in mind that this alters the entire track. So if you're doing image manipulation with this 3D, I recommend just putting that single image in its own separate track, unless you know what you're doing. Now, as we manipulate this, our little Uganda knuckles here. Okay, let's refresh our little Uganda knuckles here. Let's delete all these. All gone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And start fresh. Now he should be able to be manipulated in 3 dimensions, as we can see here. We can manipulate him up, down, rotate, whichever you please. Now I'm going to do this again, but with 3D manipulation. Okay, we're just about finished up here, right? Yep. We're done here. Now, as you're going through frame by frame and by frame by frame, and you constantly find yourself moving the head back to see where your reference is, to see what the character you're putting your image onto, what they're doing. Instead of moving it away, you could simply just go here and lower the transparency, and you could see if you're moving your image accordingly. Now I'm going to render this, and we're going to see how it turned out.
Every year, I think the anniversary of Jessamine's death will be easier, but it never is.
Again, not perfect, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Now, next, before we move on, let me show you one final thing. Now that we've put 3D Source Alpha on this entire track, you'll notice that it also affects... Here, let me make another track for you. You see how it affects other images put into the track? Like, I have done nothing to the Super Saiyan hair, but since the entire track is affected by the 3D source, the last frame I did affects everything in front of it. So you would have to manually change this hair also, or just make a new track for it. It's just a good thing to know. Now, moving on to effect animation, this is quite simple. Every effect in... Here, let's move over here. Every effect in Sony Vegas has an animation. Or at least everyone I use. We're going to make some simple text here, call it test. You see how the test is also altered by the 3D Source Alpha? We're going to move it to its own thing here, so it's nice and straight. And we're just going to put some effects on it. Let's put some rays. Yes, let's put some... No, let's start with rays. Now, rays is a bit unique, and it has its own animate button down here. I'll show you how other effects are animated in a moment. But let's say this is the same keyframe system that the images use. So we're going to have it start... let's have the amount start very small. Wait, X position will start all the way there. Amount will be... Now we're going to skip it to the very end. The very, very, very end. Let's get rid of that. And now let's just change it all. Okay, now let's see how this looks. Now, the smaller you make the shorter you make the clip, the faster it'll be. Or you could just move the keyframe up and it'll move faster. See? Now let's get another effect in here. One that doesn't have a simple animate button. Okay, now that we've got some black background, let's apply the lens flare to it. Okay, we have a lens flare. Let's bring up the intensity so we can see it. And let's animate it. Now, all these little clocks is animating this specific thing. So let's animate the size, let's animate the blend, animate the tint and the position. Animate this too. Let's have it change halfway. We're about to do a whole lot of stuff here. Okay, let's bring this up so we can see the entirety of what we're animating. Now let's head to the very end. And now we'll just change it all. And now let's see what that's done. Now we have a lens flare moving, getting bigger, changing tint, all that good stuff. It's very simple to animate an effect. And I'm pretty sure you can animate nearly all of these, which is a masking animation. Which is something I came up with because I wanted to simulate the effect of someone drawing with a marker on top of the words. I'll show you the example right now. Now to do masking animation, at least the masking animation that I came up with is, of course, we're going to mask. Now we don't need this on right now. Let's go back to the beginning. We're going to mask. Now we're going to draw an X over test. And to do that is very simple. All we need is a rectangle. All we need is a rectangle. We're going to work with our rectangle here. Now an X is 2 rectangles, so we're going to need to... We are going to copy, insert a video track, and paste another one. There we go. Now what we have to do is animate these over the test. Now this angle seems about good right here. No, right there. Now we want it to start up here in the corner. So let's move these. We have to move our anchor points on top of each other so this thing isn't noticeable until we want it to be. We want this to be gone. And now at the very end, no, in the masking section, let's stay in the masking section. At the very end, we're going to have these move down and down. No, I didn't grab the anchor point. There we go. Down and down. Now let's see here. See how it's slowly making a line. Let's move this a bit closer so it doesn't take so long. There we go. There we go. We have one line. Now instead of doing this all over again, we could instead just delete this and just copy and paste so we don't have to do that all over again. Flip it horizontal. There we go, that worked. Now we have an X being drawn over the thing, the test. Now you can make, I suppose you can make more complicated things, but it would be very tedious, and at that point, I'm sure it would just be better off to get an animation software. Because this isn't really an animation software, it's possible to do simple animations, but you're very limited. I think this masking animation is about as complex as we can get, at least I can achieve. Now, I hope this helped somebody, and hopefully I can edit this down to be more viewer-friendly, because I've been recording for quite a while. So if you enjoyed this, if it helped you out, you can leave a like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment down below, tell me how or what helped you, and let me know if there's any way I can improve, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.